everyone, it's Michael, and welcome to the Clubhouse. I am so grateful that Miss Carol has allowed me to come into the Clubhouse and speak to you today about a really exciting subject. I mean, this is an exciting week. Miss Carol always does the Did You Know? And I want to do a little bit of Did You Know? Like, did you know that when you're watching this video, the next Sunday service is going to be something called Palm Sunday? That's the one where we wave all the palms and we get so excited about the life of Jesus. But it goes into a really, really hard week. It goes into what's called Holy Week. And Holy Week has what we call Maundy Thursday. That's a little bit of a hard word to say, Maundy Thursday, which is just a day that we celebrate the first time that Jesus ever sat down for what we call the Lord's Supper or communion. Jesus ever sat down with his disciples for that, and then goes into Good Friday, which is a really, really sad day because it's all about when Jesus gave his life for us on the cross. And so we kind of remember that and spend a little time sad about that, going through those sad parts of Jesus. But then we get into Easter, and the next time you see us in the Clubhouse, it's going to be right before Easter Sunday. And that's the day that we so celebrate, because that is the day of life and joy and fun, and we will talk all about that soon. A weird subject. It's all about the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is confusing even to adults. But it reminded me of hot air balloons. I have my friend Hugh. He lives down in New Mexico. And they have this big hot air balloon festival, just like they do out in like the Flemington area of New Jersey. Maybe you've seen them, where the balloons are so big that it can actually carry people around in a basket. They're really, really cool to look at. They're all kinds of shapes and sizes. You know, I think it's happening right outside. Do you want to go outside with me and take a look at the balloons? All right, let's go. Oh, that was pretty awesome. You know, it made me wonder if I could do balloons myself. So I thought, well, the first thing I need is fire, right? All right. So let's see. Let's do this. Let's bring fire into the space. Woo! That's pretty amazing, right? Do you know I could just bring fire? I'm really not. I just moved a table. But I was saying, I've got different objects I was thinking about with fire, because with the hot air balloons, what happens is that hot air gets blown into these things that were just laying on the ground. They were just cloth laying on the ground until this air, this breath, got blown into these balloons and made them into something special, made them into something beautiful that could light the sky. Did you notice all the lights that were flashing around? Like, that was the flames. That was the fire that was going in, which made the balloons all light up, and it made them really, really beautiful. And it reminded me of what God does in our life. You know, the word spirit, back when the Bible was written, the same Bible word that is translated as Holy Spirit, it actually could be holy breath or holy life, because they use the same word for all of it. Like breath and life and spirit were all the same word, because in their mind, and they were right, whenever I breathe in and I breathe out, that means I'm alive. And so my breath and life, it's all part of my spirit, what gives me life. And they're like, oh, it's all the same thing. So when you hear things like breath or life or spirit, you know, in God's mind, they're a lot the same. So whenever we're talking about the Holy Spirit, we're talking about God's breath, God's life that blows inside of us. And like those hot air balloons, gives us a different kind of life, allows us to carry some people sometimes who need our help or our kindness or our forgiveness. It's just something to light up the sky. It allows us to get a whole new perspective because now we're looking at the world a little differently because we're looking at it through God's life. I love the idea of a hot air balloon as a thought about the Spirit of God. But I brought in different objects to see if objects make the difference. Can anything float it? I don't know. So I got this cup here, and I put the cup over, and I didn't think this was going to work. I don't think a lot of these objects are really going to work. This cup is just getting hot, to be honest with you. And I think if I held it too long, it would melt. So this is not a good balloon, right? I'll get rid of that. I thought about paper, and I could unwrap some paper, but we all know what's going to happen, right? You all know what's going to happen if you hold paper over this flame. It's just going to light up. Don't do that. Don't ever hold paper over a flame like that. So that's no good. We know that wouldn't work. You know, this was connected to breath. I don't know if any of you know what this object is. This is something that goes over a microphone to stop breath from going into a microphone too quickly so that you don't get like weird breathy sounds when people are talking into a microphone. That's what this is. Whenever you see that, that's what this is. And I thought, well, it's connected to breath, but we know if I put this over, even though, ooh, did you see that? It caught a little bit. That even if I've got this hole in the bottom like a hot air balloon, yeah, it still isn't going to work, and it's clearly going to catch on fire if I get it too close. But it kind of goes the same with this. Well, I know that this wouldn't catch on fire. This is a rock, right? This is just a rock, and the rock has a hole in the bottom. Maybe it would put over the top, but I'm not thinking so. And let's test my theory here. So if we put it, ooh, it glows a little bit. That's pretty cool. But look at that, and then it goes out pretty quickly. Well, you know, it's interesting to think about that this breath, this hot air, this life wasn't designed for just anything. It wasn't designed for rocks or for paper or for plastic cups or anything like that. It was designed for balloons. The same way God's Spirit is really just designed for you. It's to walk along with you in your life to give you a different perspective, a different way of looking at things. It requires people like you who are flexible and can stretch a little bit, because you might have to stretch into forgiving somebody you're mad at, or you might have to stretch a little bit and to see somebody that needs your love or your kindness. You might have to stretch a little bit to be able to see life a little bit differently than you saw it before, or to learn something new requires you to stretch and to move, and the Spirit of God is the one who comes into our lives and helps us stretch a little bit and become a little bit more like Jesus. As the balloon blows up, it takes shape, right? And then our shape is something that looks loving or looks kind or looks joyous. It looks like Jesus. That was a thing that I learned about the Spirit of God, and I really want to be a balloon that God can fill. I have my own shape. It's not like all of a sudden I become something different. But I'm filled with this new life. And it's so exciting to be that hot air balloon for God, filled with God's breath, God's Spirit. It is so good to be with you. I hope you had fun in Sunday Club. I hope you had fun going and hanging out with me, looking at the balloons. And I hope you have a great week. All right, you are so loved. Bye-bye.